Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting. Name and job title, please.
Hi, my name is Sahil Mathur, and I work as a reporter and sub-editor for Sportstar magazine with the Hindu Group. So I've been, yeah.
No, perfect. So I've got you on, and I'm gonna say this to you. Digvesh Rathi is not a normal spinner. What would you call him?
I think he's some sort of a mystery spinner, I guess. I mean, that's how the term is now. I mean, whenever you see a very unconventional sort of a spinner coming, we usually just name it instantly as a mystery spinner. And I think you can probably say that he is a mystery spinner because given that how he, if we describe it as technicality, so that's how how late he releases that ball. I think that's how that mystery sort of comes out. So I think Digvesh, yeah.
I mean, he doesn't bowl conventional off spin or leg spin, although he can bowl both of those kinds of deliveries when he needs to, right? It's a really, really interesting one. You look at the T20 or you look at the IPL specifically, and you've got Sunil Narine, Varun Chakravarthy, Tikshana. We're seeing more and more of these kinds of bowlers coming through. What sort of drew you to writing this piece about the mystery spinners?
I mean, see, mystery spinner has always been a case. I mean, especially with Varun Chakravarthy, that is coming along very nicely, and sort of that redemption arc of Varun Chakravarthy. I mean, like after 4 or 5, I think after a gap of 3 or 4 years, he came back to Indian team, and sort of that there was conversation about how he has changed technically with the side spin to over spin. So I mean, that sort of conversation we always have in our environment as well with our colleagues and all. So I think mystery spinners it's always a very interesting topic because it's always like, how do you describe a mystery spinner? Because everyone has a very distinct answer. So I think that's sort of drew me because I mean it's always a conversation that you can start at any moment.
Yeah, no, I think it's fascinating. And you talk about Ajantha Mendis as well, who didn't invent the carrom ball, but certainly perfected the carrom ball and made it into a career arc. And he played in the IPL as well. You could argue that probably Digvesh, certainly Tikshana, Mujib, Chakravarty have all been probably carrom bowlers at a certain point, right? Right. That's almost their main skill, is that carrom ball.
Correct. I mean, even Sunil Narine for that matter. I mean, Sunil Narine. What I was while I was researching for it and all, so I realized how Sunil Narine also picked some of the traits of carrom ball to develop his skill set as well. I mean, Ajantha Mendis and if you look back at the history as well, we know some very spinners like Iverson that who had I mean who sort of like tried that flick of that finger to sort of bowl that carrom. So I think you always have a few bowlers who just have sort of bowled that delivery, but they never really perfected. But Ajantha Mendis and that 2008 or 2007 series of Asia Cup, I think that really dismantled the Indian team. That's I think that phase of his 1 or 2 or 3 years, where everyone was just the conversation was always around Ajantha Mendis and what exactly is he bowling, and even if you knew what exactly is he bowling, that you still have to pick him, and that's the thing with Ajantha Mendis and Sunil Narine and these sort of spinners. You know that there's something not conventional about them, and you will have to face it. But but you still have to face it. That's the part. That's the thing that really makes batters uncomfortable. So I think Ajantha Mendis had that phase where
Yeah.
he was bowling those sort of deliveries where it was very tough to pick him, but they eventually decoded him with that carrom ball. But Sunil Narine perfected that. I think Ajantha Mendis pioneered that sort of a skill. But I think for me, I think Narine was the guy who actually perfected how you keep that mystery going.
So I think the big difference is, looking back on it, I thought that the problem was that the carrom ball wouldn't spin enough on flat wickets. So you needed spin. And I thought that's what Ajantha Mendis' problem was. So one of the issues that he had was when he bowled the carrom ball, he had like an antenna up. And so I've heard that Ross Taylor was the first player to spot that. Ross Taylor said that he's not sure that he was, that it might have been someone else. But that rumor spread around. But if you look back, I remember there was a game where Cameron White, and this is in the World Cup in 2010, the T20 World Cup in the West Indies. Cameron White just kept hitting him straight back over his head. He wasn't worried about which way it was spinning. He was just taking a big step down the wicket and hitting through the line. Whereas if you look at Narine, what Narine really does is bowl it so short that the sideway, you can't just hit through the line, right? He only needs to spin it a couple of inches and he's going to get you. The other thing is that when I first saw Narine play, he had variations of carrom balls, but it wasn't his best ball or anything. But he had like a ripping off spinner. Right? And I can't even remember the last time I've seen Sunil Narine come in and just try and rip an off spinner anymore. Like he's so developed and so different. And some of that is also, and this is what's really interesting with all this sort of stuff, is Sunil Narine and Chakravarthy are not even the same bowlers they were when they began their careers, right? Like they are different kinds of mystery spinners than the mystery spinners they began as.
Correct. I mean, see, that's what Sunil Narine, because Mendes, you see, a carom ball, he developed that carom ball, but the fact that he couldn't really upskill that thing, I mean, couldn't get those variations going. But Sunil Narine, on the other hand, like you said, he had that great off spin, off break, but then he had that carom ball. Then he had those two or three more, like he used to bowl dusra as well before that action changed. Got him, couldn't bowl that dusra, but he had those four or five sort of variations going. So I mean, that's what helps the mystery spinners more, because if you bowl that, if you keep bowling your mystery spin, that USP of yours more, then batters will be predicting it coming probably three or four balls in the over. So I mean, if you mix it up with your stock ball, if you mix it up with your off break, for in case of Nan, if you mix it up with your off break and then bowl that carom ball, that makes it difficult for the batters to pick, because you're still bowling at the same speed, but you're bowling that different variation. So given that Sunil Narine just doesn't lose that length ball, he keeps bowling in that same area, the same line length, keeps hitting that stump to stump line, and then at that speed, around 90 kilometers, 93 kilometers, that's just average speed. So it's very difficult to pick him, to line him up. Basically, you can still play him, you can still rotate strike of him, but in T20 cricket, it doesn't help. You still need to hit. So I think to have Sunil Narine bowling and not giving away runs, that usually takes the pressure, and eventually batters do try to hit him up, and they get caught. So I think that's
Or they
what.
go at the guy at the other end, right? Like, so he probably
Right.
gets more wickets for other people as well. So 100%. The other thing is that, like, when that carrom ball started, if you go back, and I mean, it's on, the carrom ball is literally on my logo, because this is Jack Iverson's original version of it, right? You can see it's the middle finger. The other thing that you'll notice now is that a lot of the players are already going to this I don't know, the second finger, the finger next to the thumb, whatever that one's called, right? I should know the name of the fingers. I don't know the name of the fingers. And the other thing that I saw that I thought was quite interesting is that Harbhajan Singh basically said that finger spinners, these sort of finger spinners, are actually a little bit more like wrist spinners as well.
No, he meant to say, he was saying they're more of wrist. They're more of finger spinners who bowl with the wrist. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's
that's
what I
how
mean.
they.
Yeah, there's like a
Yeah, yeah,
combination, isn't it?
yeah. It's a very interesting combination because you even if you have that wrist spin going, but you still when you bowl that delivery, you can still change it up at the very last moment. So
Yep.
that's what happens when you bowl this finger spin. So I think that's what he described it very perfectly. How that they're more of a finger spinner, but they don't really turn the ball a lot. So that makes it that makes him the bowlers more difficult to read because uh, he was sort of talking about how the difference between conventional and non-conventional spinners that
Yep.
you can't line them up because they don't give air to the ball. And batters historically they have played conventional spinners. I mean, 90-95% of the time, you in your domestic team or in your international team, you play off spin and leg spin, and you just have that eye. But with the wrist spinners, um, because they don't give air, so you can't read them very
Mm.
quickly. You just have to read them off the pitch, and that again is a very difficult task, especially in T20
Uh,
cricket because you have to keep attacking.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you go back and you look at Sunil Gavaskar talks about this, Brian Lara talks about this. A lot of how they played spin was essentially defending the flatter balls, right?
Hmm.
And then once they saw the ball go above the eye line, that is when they came down and they could turn it into a full toss or a half volley and they score their runs. It's very hard to do that with these kinds of bowlers specifically, right? There is no air. Sunil Narine doesn't blow the ball above your eyes. He bowls it very flat. And, you know, when I was talking to Rahul Dravid, that was the thing he had to learn because he kept telling all the players, use your feet, use your feet. And they were like, we can't. It's
Right.
faster now, right? And you watch, we've seen how good players the Indian players were against spin. And then as
Hmm.
all the overseas players came over to play in test matches and started bowling faster against them, suddenly the Indian players don't look as good against spin anymore, right?
Correct.
Like Nathan Lyon bowls faster, right? Jack Leach was
Hmm.
trying to bowl faster. Everyone's bowling faster. And specifically what these bowlers do is really, really interesting because they bowl fast into the pitch. So then not
Hmm.
only are they not going up, they're also bowling slightly short of a length, you know, from a spinning
Hmm.
perspective. They scramble the seam every time, which to be fair, most spinners do now, but they scramble the spin every single time into the pitch at pace, which means that you
Hmm.
have to react to it. And as I was saying before, the difference between that and Ajantha Mendis was Ajantha Mendis was still bowling more often than not with the standard seam, so the batter got some clues from that. He was pitching it up, so if you could get to him, even if he was bowling a little bit quicker, once you got to him, you were fine. You can't actually do any of that anymore. It's more like these kind of spinners that we're talking about are much more like wobble ball bowlers than they are
Hmm.
Bisham Beatty or Shane Warne or Clary Grimmett.
Correct. I mean, see, again, that scramble scene is very hard to pick because, like you said, and then most of the batters have said that the seam and the air, that's how you pick the ball. And that's how you realize if it's a googly, if it's a leg break or
Yeah.
and but with the scramble seam at someone bowling at 95, 93 km per hour. So and especially with that mindset of just you have to hit that the idea of quick
Mm.
spin in T20 cricket is has now come. It's been a decade now that where teams have realized that quick spin is the way to keep the batters quiet. So I think and come to combine them with the variety of spin that you have. So it's just very difficult. I mean, if you see even in this year's IPL, Sunil Narine and Varun Chakravarthy are bowling so they're just not giving away runs. I mean, you can still see like on one or two deliveries, of course, they will get hit because I think that batters are not trying to pick the spinners. I think they have given up on picking the spinners. I think they just rely on their bat swing that they work on, keep working
Yep.
on their bat swing, and I think they just rely on that sweep shot and probably that slog, and sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, you can see the shots have changed, like that sort
Mm,
of Joss Butler, Heinrich Klaassen shot of standing back in your crease and always playing like a
mm,
straight bat shot to the ball. That
correct.
that just didn't exist like 5 years ago, I'd never really seen anyone play that outside of a tail ender who didn't know what he was doing, right? Whereas that's now a normal shot. Like we're seeing Fraser McGurk and other players coming through playing the same kind of shot. And it's because being good on the front foot doesn't help anymore if no one can ever get to the pitch of the ball because these bowlers are too slow. And you look at Sunil Narine and you put some of the stats in your thing, but Yuzi Chahal still bowls full occasionally. Like he bowls very full. Sunil Narine basically almost never bowls a full ball. And when Sunil Narine's bowling a full ball, it's probably because he's trying the Yorker, right? Or he's trying to trap someone LBW early on. Because I would say that the other thing that, that you sort of hinted at in your piece is, you said it a minute ago, they don't bowl for runs. They do bowl for runs. They bowl for singles. Sunil Narine is the best bowler I've ever seen at just hitting the thigh pad and just making sure that you're only going to be able to turn that ball for one, right? Like it's a really hard shot, and we're starting to see that sort of Rishabh Pant type shot, and Sky plays it as well. Where you're almost falling away to give yourself more room to hit it on the leg side. That again is a new thing because you're bowling at the thigh pad. And Chakravarthy and Narine basically bowl defensively until they think someone can't pick them or there's a chance of a wicket, right? And then they change it back. But they are willing to go for 5 singles in an over. They know you're going to miss one of them. One's going to hit your thigh pad, right? And it's incredible how often, I would say Chakravarthy bowls most of his balls at the top of leg stump. And Sunil Narine bowls his even higher, I think, at times. It's a really different way of bowling, isn't it?
Correct. I mean, they take the pitch out of the contention, I feel. I mean, for Yuzi Chahal, like for this season, he started to bowl very well because the pitches are more getting stuck. They have those grip, and that's why Yuzi Chahal, wherever there's grip and there's slowness in the pitch, that's where he's strikes. But for Varun Chakravarthy or for a Narayan, I don't think that that often is the case. I mean, of course, when you have that sort of a help with the pitch, you will be rewarded with that. But even on a flatter track, it's very difficult to line them up because again, because they bowl those defensive lanes, and it's very difficult even if the pitch is flat. So I think that's also, and that makes the batters try to find more shots. Like for example, how Surya Kumar Yadav plays that supla shot. And Rishabh Pant also like to describe it. He just falls and tries to hit it because again that thigh pad and that middle leg stump.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. I mean, again, it's just batsmen just need to like evolve, and even with like spinners also with Mr. Spinners as well. They just everyone needs to evolve because T20 is evolving very very quickly. I mean,
well, you talk about evolution. Look at Chakravarthy, as you said before. He's out on the side, in the Indian side. He comes back. He was okay in the middle for Kolkata at times, but he's obviously, I think he's the best spinner in the world at the moment in T20 cricket, right? And might be in one-day cricket as well. And he's come back and he's decided to bowl overspin. Like,
okay.
I was always taught as a bowler that, like, as a wrist spinner, that basically don't ever even worry about overspin. You get natural overspin already, and also overspin basically means straight, right? Like if your wrong and has overspin and your leg spinner has overspin, so you don't need to ever try and bowl an overspinner, right? And Shane Warne would pretend he was bowling top spinners. Shane Warne didn't bowl many top spinners. It was just the ball that didn't spin because he got his wrist a little bit wrong. Most probably is my guess anyway. And I remember when he got his hat trick of Devon Malcolm, and he was like, yeah, I thought I'd bowl a top spinner. I was like, no, you weren't. You were trying to bowl one that got the outside edge to slip. Let's be honest. So Chakravarthy, obviously, and him and Sunil Narine, look, we need to get these two on a podcast together, just in a room, to maybe when they're about to retire or something, and explain what's going on, because it's like having I don't know, Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking in the one room together, right? Like they are thinking about this stuff, and all we need is Ashwin in the background taking notes, right? Like and going, oh yeah, I never thought of that. That's the one I should have done. This topspin, I don't understand why it works so well, but he's so much better bowling topspin than he ever was even trying to spin the ball sideways.
Correct. I mean that it just bounces more. So when you are
and drops
hitting
more.
that, right? So it's that dip again. The dip helps in the test Test cricket as well, but more for the conventional spinners. But for them in the T20 side or in the limited overs cricket, I think that dip helps more these non-conventional or mystery spinners because like Varun Chakravarthy, that addition of overspin. Now he's bowling those leg cutters with because he primarily
Yeah.
bowls leg spin, leg breaks and googlies. I think that dip is making the batters because you just can't get on the front foot to hit because
Yeah.
they will hit the sticker of the bat. So so it's very hard to time them. It's very hard to middle them, and so I think it's a very very great idea that probably came to him in like 2 or 3 years ago. That I think this could be the thing that was missing in my armory when I started to play. Because and I think one of the very important points that Harbhajan also said was that most of these spinners or the new age bowlers of the T20 cricket come from the tennis ball cricket. So
Mm.
they with that so tennis ball cricket is a very very interesting topic because in tennis ball cricket you are just defending because
Mm.
the tennis ball
Ball sits
right.
up.
So yeah, because even if you're uh, because there's not much turn. So if you are a spinner, so you just have to bowl very fast and hope for that one ball to either spin or just cut away. So I think and Varun Chakravarthy used to play a lot of tennis ball cricket. Even Sunil Narine, for that matter, he used to play tennis ball cricket.
Yeah.
So
No, no. I think it's a big part. And also, I wonder how much the difference is between tennis ball cricket and the sort of the other traditional sort of hard rubber ball cricket,
hmm,
right? Because you can't
right,
do as many of these tricks with the hard rubber ball.
hmm,
Whereas if you're and the same, we're not seeing these bowls out of Pakistan because Pakistan, they use the tape
hmm,
ball, right? You actually
correct,
want the flexibility of the tennis ball, and then
hmm,
eventually your fingers are going to get strong, right? Like that.
right,
There is an element of why that makes sense. It's really fascinating the sort of strength that they have in their hands and everything else. And if you're a spinner and you play with a tennis ball, you know exactly what we're talking about because
right,
I have to bowl like twice my normal speed when I'm bowling with a tennis ball
hmm,
because otherwise they just sit back and they hit it so hard. In fact, when I would play indoor cricket in Australia, which is it's a tennis ball with a leather case around it.
hmm,
If I was playing to really good players of spin, it was just easier for me to bowl swing, right?
right,
Just big hooping swing was way better than me bowling spin. I wasn't even good at bowling swing, but that was much better just because otherwise they would sit on the way back and they would kind of do what Heinrich Klaasen does, right? Except with a flat bat with a tennis ball
hmm,
because you can't play it with a straight bat. So yeah, no, I think that's another really good one. I just want to go through some of the stats that you put in here, which I love. This is Digvesh, Chakravarty, and Narine. I think you put all three of them together, and you looked at
hmm,
foot movement, right?
right,
So 48% of the shots played to those three players this year were off the back foot. Now,
hmm,
if I bowl two balls in a game where someone hits it off the back foot, everyone in the field starts going, pitch it
hmm,
up, right? Like that's how we're all taught as spinners is don't do that. Now you get so many more back foot shots than you do front foot shots. But there's one other interesting thing that I want to look at here. There are more back foot shots than front foot shots. So we know they're pitching shorter on purpose. And I've talked about that quite a bit. But the other fascinating one for me is when they pitch on the back foot, 43% of the balls are attacked. And when they pitch on the
hmm,
front foot, 61% of the balls are attacked.
right,
So there is a reason they are doing this. It is harder for a player to hit those big shots from the back foot. We have talked about some of the guys who can do it. Patadar can pull,
hmm,
basically off any length if he wants to. You've got the Rishabh Pant shot, the Sky shot, the Heinrich Klaasen, all those sorts of guys. But the vast majority of cricketers don't have any of those shots. So all they
right,
can do is flick it for one. And you see, Ryan Rickleton is a good example of this. If you can bowl just slightly back of a length to Ryan Rickleton, he just gets stuck and all he can do is then slog. And he's a good enough
right.
player who occasionally gets it away, but he's got caught a bunch of time against spinners because he doesn't have the back foot game that other players have.
Correct. I mean, see again that it just happens because of that speed at which they are bowling. If you bowl even like at 88 or 87 kilometers per hour, then you're going to get hit for a six most of the time. But it's particular those sort of 93 to 90, and I think now that quick spin, even with if you see Suresh Sharma. he was bowling
Mm,
a lot of 100 kilometers per hour. I think that speed really matters a lot, and
yeah.
again that so because on back foot it's very difficult for a batter to hit, and Patidar is a great example. I mean, I think even
Mm.
if you see him in some of the domestic games, he just goes on the back foot every single time before going forward. So I think that that trigger movement has changed for him. I think so that
Mm.
he waits for that ball to come on that length before he sees that, oh, okay, this might be a ball to play on the front foot. So I think that sort of a trigger movement has changed for a couple of batsmen, I feel, and I think that is going to be a case for a lot of the batters going forward as well. That the trigger movement that you see sometimes, that front press that comes in, I think that will probably go towards the back then to front. In the future, I think.
No, I think that's fair. And what's funny about all that is you're talking about from the back foot to the front foot. The other day, I think Digvesh was going to bowl at death, and I was doing a watch along with my friend Rob Barron, who bets on cricket, and he was going to bet on a stumping because it was in that 17th or 18th over, and you can quite often get like 20 to 1,
Mm,
40 to 1 at that stage because there aren't a lot of stumping. And I said, well,
mm,
I've just read this article, and in the article it says that people only come down the wicket 1.3% of the time
mm,
to Digvesh and the other bowlers like him. And so it shows you that this is a guy who watches more T20 cricket than any of us because he's betting on about
mm,
8 games at the same time. And
mm,
he hasn't even noticed that there is a different kind of spinner now that you don't bet on the stumping anymore. And it's so
right,
different. And as I was saying before, the whole roll driver thing of like, why don't you just use your feet? No one's using their feet to these guys
mm,
because, as we said, they're bowling shorter than traditional spinners do. They're
mm,
bowling faster, and they're also there's no loop on the ball. So coming down is a
yeah,
dangerous tactic against them. So we're seeing a whole new way to play spin that we've never really seen before. It's fascinating. But I want to finish with this.
mm,
We need a better name than mystery bowlers, right? Or mystery spinners. And I'll tell you why. It's not a mystery if we've got 5 or 6 of them, right?
mm,
And I
yeah,
think that if you're talking about Tikshana or Mujib, I think they should be known as carrom bowlers, right? Because I
mm,
think that's what they are. Then I think you've got the Sikandar Raza, Chakravarti, maybe Digvesh, Sunil Narine. Those guys need something else as well. They could even be mixture spinners, right? Because at this point, they
mm,
are really changing between all these different things that we're seeing. But these aren't mysteries anymore. Like you can't really say there's a mystery when every side almost has one. Like almost every
right,
side in this league has access to someone who can do this. So I'm
mm,
not saying that's what your next article should be at all, but I am saying that we need another name for this because I think we've moved
right,
beyond mystery spin. And, we
mm,
use mystery spin really badly in cricket too. Like Paul Adams was a mystery spinner. And I'm like, well, no, he's a wrist spinner
mm,
with a silly action. He's not a mystery
yeah,
spinner. Like
right,
it's a mystery spinner with a weird action. And you look at Digvesh, right? How can he be a mystery when he's literally been watching on TV all these other guys and decoding what they're
mm,
doing and then using it for
right,
himself? So I'm not saying it has to be you. It could be someone in the comments. It could be someone listening along. It could be someone on social media. But I do think we need to come up with some slightly better terms for these guys in the future.
right. I mean, that's what I mean when I was talking to Harbhajan as well. He was like, "Why are they called mystery spinners? Because they're literally bowling that spin that we also used to bowl, but just because of that action and that they're just labeled as mystery spinner. But I don't think that they need to be called as mystery spinner. But I think it's actually the toughest question is what should be they called. I mean, it's very hard to describe them. I mean, because
Yeah.
they
I mean,
bowl
Sunil
just a lot
Narine
of
and Chakravarti are basically undescribable at the moment, right? They are like nothing
balls.
we've ever seen before. And also, if we gave them a name, next season they would
Mm,
come back with a new style anyway.
right. I think there's I actually don't know how do you describe them? Like what exactly is the one word that perfectly just that yes, exactly they are. But I mean, I think someone from the comments actually should help us
Yeah.
do that.
No, definitely, mate. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast, and we can find that article in the show notes, and it's on the Sports Star website, right?
Right.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming on.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Uh, although on a very side note, I don't remember. I don't think you will probably remember it, but I think 4 or 5 years ago, I texted you on in Twitter because I read that test cricket article of test cricket book of yours, and I said, and I asked you, like, I probably just fanboyed you that time,
I didn't even see
and
that because I sent you a message on Twitter and I didn't even see that we chatted before on Twitter. Do you want me to look it
yeah.
up? Should we embarrass you? Do you want me to look it up now? Because you'd be like in. No. We can look it up right now. It's all right. We can do that. It's not like we're still live. Oh, we are live. Oh, that's a shame. Let's
I just
see what
asked you
you said.
how should I become a sports writer or cricket writer because I really wanted to become one 5
Oh,
years
yeah, I
ago.
see. Yeah.
But
I didn't see that at all.
yeah, so I think that's it's a very very I think probably a very good feeling to have to be on your show as a guest.
You
So I think
You've sent me. We're going through all this now. I'm sorry you brought it up. So
okay.
you brought this on yourself. So yeah, you read Test cricket, and I think you asked if there was anything else. And I said that there's. Oh no, maybe you didn't. Or maybe I just answered something else. Oh no, you said, can you recommend any other book? So first it was about Test cricket, then there was something else, and then you asked me how to get into the thing, and I sent you some links. So in some ways, I burst you so you could write an article like this and then come on my podcast. So I don't. This makes me the ultimate puppet master, I think.
I mean, it took 5 years, but yeah, I came.
Yeah, we got you there. Well, I mean, it takes 9 months to produce a baby, dude. 5 years to produce a cricket writer, I think is fair. No, you're doing great work. I really enjoyed this piece, man. And hopefully we chat again soon. But thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today.